Okay,
You
so
got a good finger.
so we're talking about the emotions that affect us and it can affect our nutrition, but what do we do? Like Christine was saying, okay, what's the next step? How do we handle things like fear, things like anxiety, things like resentment, things like malnutrition? Okay. Now I'm going to present my approach, but this approach is something I've developed from my work working with HeartMath. And HeartMath is a system that was developed 20 years ago by Doc Childra. It's a system that helps people think in optimal ways, in ways that actually give us a sense of well-being. They help to optimize our productivity. They help to really help us address the stresses and the moments that come along so things don't stick. So we want to look at this in terms of our true self. And Christine, I think you were talking about that a little bit before, our true self. And I like to look at it in terms of, we look at combining with some science, the DNA of our true self. And what we know, our bodies are actually, some people have known scientifically, the substance of our bodies, our atoms, are the same atoms that are in stars. And you think about really the nature of our true self, the nature of our bodies, it's the nature of light, of stars. And other folks have actually been describing how DNA is strands of light put together that are actually intertwined and create activity of the nature of ourselves. And each of us is specific in that respect. Can you follow me here? Now the thing is, DNA needs to have what's called messenger DNA. Have you ever heard of that? Messenger DNA? So in the cell, the nucleus of the cell, there's DNA, but that DNA has to imprint out into the body to send its messages to create the nature of our bodies, the nature of who we are. And that has to get out through what's called messenger RNA. Messenger RNA. Now I'm going to depict this in terms of how it works heart-wise. The creation of our words, our thoughts, really spring from our feelings, from our heart. Our true self needs to be received in through our hearts, and the nature of our self has to get out through something called messenger RNA. And how I relate to that is something comes along that's aberrant, like discouragement, like fear, like anxiety. We have to recognize that we're actually experiencing that feeling. Sometimes when we're feeling a stress, we want to push it away. We think it's going to go away. But the first step in HeartMath is actually recognizing what you're feeling. And with HeartMath, the next part is neutralizing in your heart. So you recognize you're feeling discouraged, and then you neutralize that inside of your heart. And the activity is drop it in your heart, where you actually place your feeling attention consciously on your heart area physically. So let's practice that for a second. So consciously put your feeling attention on your heart. Now, scientifically wise, HeartMath found that when we do that, it actually helps take the spin, it helps to reduce the spin from something that may be agitating us, to at least slow down those mechanisms, thought processes. So think about your heart, and now imagine your nose being on your heart and breathing in slowly through your heart, and then out slowly through your heart, as if you're breathing through your heart. Sometimes it helps to close your eyes, focusing on your heart, and breathing in through your heart, and then out through your heart. In through your heart, and then out through your heart. Can you feel a little bit easier with that? Okay. Now with HeartMath, there's a sensor. We're going to be talking about how the sensor can actually tell if your heart's getting into a coherent rhythm to be able to give you a little bit more perspective in terms of dealing with those situations. So you recognize you're having a problem, you drop it in your heart, and you simply focus your breathing on your heart as you neutralize that feeling. And a way of neutralizing that is you recognize you're feeling discouraged, but you give no response to your feelings. Now I know that might be a little leap, but you recognize the feelings of being disturbed, but you don't respond to them. Can you see can you see that? Can you begin to see that? Okay. So you're neutralizing it, and doing something physical, breathing through your heart, helps to neutralize that. Now, sometimes that's a big leap because some things really grab us, and we may think about something that comes to mind, but with practice, it allows us to have more of a handle what it means to neutralize thoughts in the moment. Now, sometimes we have to get to another point, and that's where appreciation comes in. Messenger RNA. We have to remember that when we are feeling anxious or fearful or discouraged, we are to be a messenger of light, of the light that we truly are in our true selves. So we recognize, we neutralize, and then once we neutralize, we can get to the point of appreciating something. So in HeartMath, they recognize when you focus on appreciating something that brings you a sense of peace, the things that you love and appreciate, that you just love. Like Roz loves Kayla, her dog, right? When she thinks of Kayla, she smiles. So if you think of things that make you smile inherently without trying to smile, but the things that make you smile, it allows you to appreciate those things. And when you appreciate things, your heart may be incoherent at this point, but there's something called a coherent heart rhythm. And this is when the spaces between each contraction of heartbeat is beating in a healthy, variable way. So it creates a healthy heart rate variability, and we'll talk about that more too. But basically, when things happen, we want to process it through recognizing, neutralizing, and appreciating. And here's another step. Our heart, another way of saying our heart, you can say a heart of love, a heart of gold. Have you heard that expression? Having a heart of gold. Now, the thing is, our mind has to be the rudder of our heart. Our mind has to recognize it needs to provide protection for what's filtering through our heart from our true self. Now, our true self is beyond our conscious awareness, but has to be filtered down, received in through our heart, and then consciously we begin to move along. Like Christine was saying before, I had the compulsion to go through this book aisle. I don't know why, but something was telling me to go over here. Do you ever have that feeling? Like you had to come to this meeting today. I had a feeling I had to come to this meeting. We start to receive in our mind consciously of steps of what our true self really wants us to move along with. It has to provide a rudder though, and it has to provide a protection. So when we do get mad, we have to recognize as soon as possible, we're mad, we're angry. We need to neutralize that. We need to get to the point of appreciation so we have a heart of gold, so we have heart coherence, and we start to extend something out. But let me get to that point. Now we think about mind. Our mind in the Bible, they talk about silver being a symbol of truth. And our minds, actually, the truth needs to move through our minds. What's true? The ultimate is we want to be in position to extend a coherent feeling out into the world. Now, the reason why I do these talks is because the whole idea is to remember that each of us is here to extend a healthy, sane influence. And if more of us were doing that, the world would be changed. There would be a critical mass of people who would be extending a coherent influence. And when that happens, then all the junk we hear and all the things that make us mad in the world can be transformed. Did you know that gold, you might know this, Diane, when gold is mixed with silver, it creates what color? Amber. Do you know about amber? What do you know about amber?
It's a rosin.
It's a rosin, but amber comes from a Greek word, a Latin word, meaning electron. So the word amber, and they found the actual physical substance of amber holds a static electrical charge. That amber actually has the nature of amber. The word means electron, which has caused the word to be used with electricity. So you think about all this mechanism, we're to extend electrons or electricity out into the world, where people feel the charge of someone being sane, sound, healthy in that respect, of offering a healthy influence, in order for that extension to be sent out. And you think about all the crazy things you hear in the news about folks killing people like that, kids being killed. You know, those are thought patterns that people pick up on, but they don't recognize that it's not them. They think it's them. They identify with those aberrant feelings. They think I'm a killer, but that's not true. Everyone's true self. We're a messenger of light, basically. And to remember that, and if more of us were remembering that and extending that healthy influence, it sends a healthy electromagnetic wave out into the world that people will pick up thought-wise, so it can prevent those things from happening. You know, gun laws aren't going to work unless more people are thinking in a healthy way. So this is the process of shifting these feelings. Now there's a whole lot more to this, and I've created actually a stress mastering course to help distill things down, to help really cultivate what it takes to allow this process to happen. Now the next part of our session, we're going to be talking about actually how to do this physically and how to see it for yourself.
Mighty finger.